financial literacy is extremely low in India and world over. A lot of people today had very little knowledge about what a mutual fund meant. ChatGPT may give you an answer, so may others, but we are a licensed entity and we are accountable. There are only around 970 registered investment advisors. There are like 80 million plus unique demat accounts. There just aren't enough humans to help people make better investment decisions. Without technology and AI, it's just not possible to solve the scale of problem we have in a country like India. I think what's holding us back today is that we are not able to imagine those possibilities yet.
Welcome to another edition of Intelligent Unscripted. Today, I have with me Kiran Nambiar, who I've known for a little bit. And Kiran is the CEO and co-founder of MyFi. And the role of MyFi is to change how finance works using AI. So that's the theme that we're going to be deep diving into. So welcome, Kiran.
Thanks for having me on the show, Bala.
So Kiran, let's start with talking about MyFi. What does it do? Have you launched yet the product? How can the user use the product? What is the problem it's trying to solve?
Sure. Yeah, so we launched MyFi in the public domain on the 1st of July. It was early days, it was in beta. Now we've kind of launched it more publicly. It really is trying to solve the problem of helping people invest better, right? A lot of products out there today that give you financial information, but when you look at the sort of masses, there's nothing really helping them with information on the products. Financial literacy is extremely low in India and world over. And we're really trying to solve that problem of both educating the user and then getting them to invest. So starting with a question as simple as what is a mutual fund, to asking questions about your portfolio, about what are your best performing funds, how can I invest better, and things like that. So that's really been our focus, really leveraging generative AI that's available to us today, combined with India's digital public infrastructure, and seeing how we can scale this product to the millions of users out there.
But tell me, Kiran, I can go to Google and say, what is a mutual fund? And there are like 20 sites which will explain this to you. Or even go to ChatGPT and say, what is a mutual fund? What does MyFi bring to the game?
Sure. So very valid question, and I get it quite often as well, right? So one of the things is context, right? People, especially when it comes to wealth and finances, are not, generally going out there and educating themselves without context, right? It's usually in the moment you're looking at a product, you want to make an investment decision, then you want to know more about it. You want to know what exit load is. With generative AI, you can basically craft your own journey and path, and that's what MyFi allows you to do. Yes, you can ask Google, you can ask ChatGPT, but really when it comes to financial information, none of them are either trained or registered to answer that question. So MyFi is a SEBI-registered entity. We have an RIA license. We have a fiduciary duty to make the best recommendation to the user, to give them the right information. These financial models that help with those recommendations have been built and trained by our investments team. So that is the biggest difference, I would say. ChatGPT may give you an answer, so may others, but we are a licensed entity and we are accountable.
So you stand by your answer, which ChatGPT is like, good luck, here is the information. But you touched upon personalization, context, which ChatGPT usually doesn't. I'm just asking for what's a mutual fund. How does that work?
So, MyFi's onboarding journey, one of the first things you do is connect your portfolio. We started with only mutual funds through MF Central, but we recently also integrated with Account Aggregator, which allows you to pull your investments across demat accounts as well, wherever you may have invested.
So this is where you bring in the power of Indian digital public infrastructure.
Correct. Exactly. So using that data, everything you see on the app about your investments is also personalized, right? So as soon as you say, how is my portfolio doing? It's not just about returns. We do an analysis. We compare it to a benchmark. We look at, if you have a tech fund in there, we look at how other tech funds are doing and give you an opportunity to make a change if we think that your fund is underperforming in some category. So that's really where personalization comes in. And, as you kind of converse with the app more, we have more data on you. You can do risk assessments on there. and, really give you more personalized answers.
So it's basically taking in my portfolio, my context. You're leveraging DPI,
Yes.
account aggregator, and in future more things
Yeah.
to get my information in, and then based on that, you give an answer and you stand by it as opposed to a Google or a ChatGPT.
And just to add to that, we also get market data from various data feeds. So all your mutual fund data, stock data, we get daily feeds on new funds that are launching, performance of existing funds. We do some analysis on it to allow you to get a.
So it's very current as well. It's not just a pre-trained model which is spitting out something. So tell me this. This is a very interesting idea and interesting field. I know we have talked about this once before. But what got you to do this? What is the genesis of this?
So for me, it actually started over a decade ago. I think it was around 2013 when I was in New York, and I've always wanted to move back to India. I was thinking about this problem statement of, a lot of people today, my friends, very close family, some of them had invested in mutual funds, some of them hadn't. And even those who had very little knowledge about what a mutual fund meant. They didn't even know how the fund was performing, was the markets up, down. I remember during the 2008-9 credit crisis as well, markets were down a lot. I had family ask me, I used to get very large dividends. I don't get it anymore. Not realizing that the fund value itself is probably down like 20, 30% in certain cases, right? So that's when I started researching it. At that point, timing didn't make sense for me personally. So kind of pushed the idea. Fast forward to sort of 2017, I was working Morgan Stanley at that stage in tech in New York. It really felt like I wasn't making much progress there. And for me, impact was a large part of what drove me and continues to drive me today. And seeing this opportunity in India, I moved back. I must say it took a slightly more conservative approach where we started a digital product agency. So with more service, we worked with clients like WeWork, but also a lot of fintechs like Nido, Jiffy, and others, some of them successful, some of them not. And that's when I started working with Tiffen. So around May of 2021. So Tiffen is a fintech startup based out of the US, founded by Dr. Vinay Nair.
And it has nothing to do with food or breakfast.
No, it does not have anything to do with food, although, he is Indian origin, and there was definitely a pun on the word Tiffen being a Tiffen dabba with multiple sort of products in there. Started working with him. I'd met him while I was in New York as well. Did some work for their consumer product in the US. About 6 months in, more than half my company was doing work for them, at which point when I was like, look, I can't outsource all my work, so come work with us. For me, that made perfect sense because, the service business was a stepping stone into getting into product and fintech. So Tiffen acquired us in Feb of 22. I continued to work on their US products until the end of last year and, continue to see that opportunity in India, pitched it to Vinay. We traded on a few ideas around there. Obviously, generative AI became a very big thing over the last sort of 2 years. So while the problem statement was same or similar to what I saw about a decade ago, the delivery is completely different and a lot of learnings from what we've done in the US as well. And that's how MyFi started to, really solve that problem of making wealth management a bit more accessible to the masses in India.
So MyFi is a part of Tiffen, is it fair to say that?
That's correct. So MyFi is a part of Tiffen. They continue to fund it as well. And yeah.
One question, what languages are you there? Because you want to take it to you talk about the masses and accessibility.
Yeah. So we started with English, right? And, we always take this MVP approach. And I believe that's the best way to iterate through a product. Started with English, went with users who have existing investments, got them to connect their portfolios and seen some very good adoption. But Hindi is what we're looking at next. Still early days. We're doing a proof of concept. But we absolutely believe that if you want to get deeper into India, we need to go multilingual. Hindi is probably the next most in demand, but hopefully over time, multiple languages.
Can you tell me one thing? Are there like successful financial education-based companies in the US? What is, as a field, I'm saying in general?
See, I don't know US or India. A lot of people have tried to do financial education, right?
But you're not doing that. You're doing more than that.
We're doing a lot more than that. And the biggest thing is that we're giving you contextual, bite-sized information, right? So you're looking at a mutual fund, you find a fund and it says exit load 1%, right? Most people don't know what exit load is. So you can ask that question there. So we're educating the user as they go through that journey. And I think that is the fundamental difference. We're not trying to be a educational platform as such, but we do think that the user needs to be informed as they make decisions.
But can people trade on your platform?
Not yet.
Okay.
We are first trying to gather people who are existing investors on other platforms, but eventually we will enable execution as well. It's just a natural progression, but we're not there yet.
I presume there's money there, right? I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, in terms of, let me just talk about some success metrics that we've already kind of hit and where we're going, right? So we launched in July and now we're about 3 months in. We have around 1,800 users who have linked their assets.
that's phenomenal. How much is the AUM that?
And the total AUM there is around 500 crores.
Wow.
Which is double what we had originally anticipated.
Oh my God. So that crores is a serious amount of money.
Yeah. So that's been a very good success metric.
Were you surprised?
I was definitely surprised because, our real target was 250 crores and I thought that would be hard because, sometimes there's this friction to connect accounts and things like that. But it seems like people are willing to do that and then sort of ask questions on the platform. 50% of questions we get today are about the user's holdings, portfolio, performance, etc. So there's definitely high intent over there.
Excellent. So I want to shift away from your product.
Sure.
I think we have described, and at some point we would like to maybe show a demo as well.
Sure.
We'll incorporate that. Would you talk about how there is a lot of behavioral bias in finance, like in general. So at a larger level, you're a very experienced finance professional. Do you see that, and do you see AI helping there?
Yeah.
Or hurting it, making it worse?
I think both are possible. Hopefully, the larger public has a more positive intent with AI. But, when it comes to biases, if you look at the markets today, election day, right? Day before election, day after election results were announced. The market is up and down, right? If you really think about wealth creation and long-term wealth creation, people need to hold on to what they are invested in, right? Not make decisions based on immediate news they may have heard or anything like that. And typically, historical data suggests that the markets have gone up over a extended period of time. So I think the way AI and technology in general can help with this is being able to nudge a user when they are trying to make a decision on buy or sell, right? So if you're going into the platform and you're trying to sell something, it should say, are you sure you want to do this? Typically, markets correct within X amount of time, right? So I think, and that is something humans cannot do because we cannot be with every person at every point in time, right? Today, there are only around 970 plus minus RIAs, registered investment advisors. Even if you add, this is all over India. Even if you add mutual fund distributors, that's still another maybe 120,000. India today has 40 million plus unique mutual fund investors. There are like 80 million plus unique demat accounts. Now, even if we train all these individuals to help people help advisors help them, there just aren't enough humans to help people make better investment decisions. So without technology and AI, it's just not possible to solve the scale of problem we have in a country like India. And I think we've been very successful in doing this in other places, right? UPI, just generally the digital public infrastructure we have here is world-class and solving for hundreds of millions of people, not even tens of millions of people. So I think it is going to become critical to the success and growth of this country.
I buy that. How about the privacy and ethical issues that people keep bringing up?
So let's talk about privacy first. When it comes to privacy, it really has been at the heart of how we have architected our system as well. So all sort of PII, personally identified information, whether that's PAN number, date of birth, that's all been encrypted and stored in our databases. So even if somebody got access and looked at our database, you cannot read somebody's panel, right? So we have architected it in such a way that, personal information is kept private and does not leak. When it comes to ethical concerns, so I should talk a little bit about how MyFi works, right? Specifically because, and I think, and the reason I'm bringing that back is generative AI today can do a lot of things. Like ChatGPT, you can ask it any question, it will probably give you an answer. What we've done at MyFi is we've kind of separated the conversational element, which is you asking a question, and the financial models that actually give you the answer. So if you say, compare these three mutual funds, when it gives you a result, it's a financial model that we have trained. It's deterministic. It's not generative AI based. That gives you an answer, which then is communicated to the user. So when it comes to biases, we kind of take that out of the equation by by combining LLMs with these sort of deterministic models to give you answers. So that's how we've solved it. Now, broadly in the world, I think there is still a bias towards data in the West because the internet is more English and, predominantly, data generated and information generated by the West. So there's certainly biases there. I do think that there are a lot of initiatives in India like AI for Bharat and other such organizations that are trying to solve for that. I think that is necessary to, build a more equitable generative AI-based platform. But, we're heading in the right direction.
So you're an optimist there. So just on the tech part, just to make sure I understand. So you use a combination of ChatGPT and other large language models for the textual interpretation of the user's intent and the question.
That's correct.
But when it comes to actual number crunching, you're using just old school other deep learning models, I presume.
That's right. So we have, just like you said, the language understanding interpretation is an LLM, whether that's OpenAI, Gemma. We use a combination of things that we orchestrate based on the use case. And then when it comes to sort of the financial data, whether you want to do a comparison, what are my riskiest funds, things like that, we have various models that use backtesters and other things to kind of give you the answer to that, which is then kind of communicated to the user using an LLM as well.
So what are some of the challenges and breakthroughs that...
See, I think the challenge continues to be, one is we are a platform for long-term wealth creation, right? It is a boring topic. Nobody's interested in it. And we still need to kind of keep the user engaged. So we've done things like a portfolio score. So you come in, you ask how my portfolio is doing. We don't just give you gains. We give you a number that says you got a 6 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. And then you can view a report card, which gives you more information. So tapping into that slightly gamified sentiment there, where, people want to do better. So that's one thing we've done. We've also had sort of contextual, timely notifications for users, right? Anything from how has your portfolio done over the last week to, a couple of weeks back, 10 days back, markets were down like 4.6%. We send a notification to our users saying, don't panic, this has happened in the past. So very contextual information to kind of keep the user engaged. And, our retention on users with linked assets is pretty high. It's like 20% plus over a 3-4 week time frame. So our idea is not to bombard them with messages, but give them contextual information so that they come back to the app, interact a little bit, gain a bit more knowledge and information before moving on.
It's fascinating. I think that one of the conundrums, as I see in finances, the good investments are like, whatever, Warren Buffett, buy cheap, hold on to it, don't panic, right?
Yeah.
Just don't be so active.
Yeah.
Whereas the incentive, if you're a trading platform or if you're an online platform, honestly, right, you can't sit quiet with the user for like months in a row, even though their portfolio might be doing well. You want the engagement. So kind of balances.
Yeah, and we are also looking at introducing more features into the app around the wealth space. And
are you doing anything social? Because people love to brag about their well-performing stuff.
So we do actually have a social feature where you can share your portfolio score. You can also kind of get a sense of what are other people like me investing in, right? It's just a kind of way to engage and understand what people with similar products, AUM, et cetera, are using. And that is also a pretty engaged group. Very early days for that, but you're right. People in that cohort are definitely interacting a lot more than others. So we are looking at sort of introducing more such social proofing type features as well.
Do you worry that in a market correction, I mean, all of this is fun and games when the markets are going up, right? Everybody's right.
Yeah.
Everybody's like a genius, right? Yeah, but you've been to 2007 cycles. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I think honestly, launching an app like this today helps with the market trending up. But I do think that, in a market correction, when things are difficult, that's why people want more assistance, right? So hopefully when they go through a phase like that over time, whether it's a year, 2 years from now, that's when people will really feel like they have somebody to talk to. Most of the other platforms out there are so structured, it's forms, it's tabs, it's very sort of linear in that sense. Here, you could come into the app and ask a question saying, hey, the Sensex has dropped 5%. What do I do? Right now, we don't answer all of those questions yet, but really it is your financial assistance through any journey. So I think that market corrections will hopefully allow us to build more trust with the user.
Fair enough. I think the best advice I've gotten from my financial advisor is like, don't panic, just chill.
Yeah.
Just go to the beach and it'll be okay. Last question. So what are the future trends in AI and finance that you see, especially in wealth management?
See, there's this quote that's often used that says humans often overestimate what we can do with technology in the short term and underestimate what we can do in the long term. And I certainly think that's true with AI and generative AI specifically as well, because we've only scratched the surface here. Whether it's a conversational experience, the way we give guidance, we're still sort of trying to mimic what humans do, right? But really, as we start to get deeper into this, the possibilities are really limitless. I think what's holding us back today is that we are not able to imagine those possibilities yet. So I'm very optimistic about a world where AI is able to, make up productivity 10x, 100x to the extent that GDPs of countries are higher because of this, right? This is not a small technology. It's the equivalent of the internet or even sort of the industrial revolution, so to speak. So it really is transformational. And I don't think I'm doing it justice today with how we're using it. But yeah, I'm very optimistic.
Possibilities are limitless. I like that. I'm going to take that as the takeaway quote from this conversation. Hey, Kiran, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.